Did you know you can coach your own virtual football team with real NFL players on your roster? Each year, the NFL grows larger and larger as they gain more fans worldwide. Within that community, millions are playing fantasy football, making it a great interactive way to find community and form connections with people around you. I've been playing fantasy football for 13 years in many different kinds of leagues, and I've won multiple championships in the process. Today, my goal is to teach you all about how fantasy football works in case you're interested in getting started. First, I will explain the rules of fantasy football. Second, I will teach you how to draft your team. Lastly, I will explain strategies on how to maintain your team throughout the season. Fantasy football was originally created by a group of friends back in 1962. This was before the internet, so everyone was held accountable for tracking their own stats by hand. But luckily, today's version of fantasy football is much simpler to get into. Wide receivers and running backs are the most important positions in fantasy football as they make up most of your roster, and having good or bad wide receivers will make or break your team. Quarterbacks are important as well, and having a good quarterback can separate you from the rest of the teams in your league. The rest of your roster is made up of tight ends, kickers, and defense. These positions are not as important to your team, but could be a nice boost when you play well. According to the ESPN Fantasy Football website, every player earns 6 points for scoring a receiving or rushing touchdown, and also gain 1 point for every 10 yards that is gained by them. In most leagues, there is also a score for every point per reception, PPR, so every time a player catches a pass, they will gain an additional point. Throwing statistics are scored a little bit differently. Each passing touchdown is worth 4 points, and every 25 passing yards thrown is another additional point. Kickers will get points based on how many yards out they kick from it, and each extra point is also worth 1 point. Defenses are a little more complicated as they will start with 10 points, but lose points every time they are scored on, and will gain points for forcing fumbles, sacks, and interceptions, or getting a touchdown. Now you might be wondering, how do you know which players are yours and how many do you get? Each roster is designed the same and attempts to simulate a real NFL roster. You will get to start 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 1 kicker, and 1 defense, and 1 flex option that you can fill with any kind of wide receiver, running back, or tight end. You will also have a total of 5 bench spots you can fill with any position. To acquire these players, you will set up a snake-ordered draft style with the rest of your league mates. You can draft your positions in any order. It's up to you to strategize how you want to draft. Unfortunately, injuries and bad play are a big part of the game as well, and if your team does not end up playing how you wanted, it is important to know what to do to try and restore your team throughout the season. Injuries happen all the time, and sometimes one of your top picks could be out for an entire season, leaving a huge gap in your roster. This is where the waiver wire comes in. The waiver wire is a list of players that were not selected in the draft, and you can pick up at any time. It is important to frequently check for players who score a lot out of nowhere and backups who are filling injured rosters. The waiver wire can also be helpful because when choosing who to start each week, looking at your players are opposing is a big part of predicting how many points they will score. Oftentimes, you are better off starting a player from the waiver wire who's playing an easy opponent than a player on your roster who's going against a tougher one. This rule especially applies to smaller positions like defenses or kickers. That is about all there is to it, and throughout the entire process, you will have many tools to help you make the correct decision on game day. First, we discussed how the rules in scoring in fantasy football work. Second, we discussed how you create your team. Last, we discussed how to maintain your team throughout the season. If luck is on your side and you're able to navigate all of these different concepts well, you're bound to have a successful season and possibly even win a reward.